Have you ever wondered how one of the greatest empires in history, the Roman Empire, went from unstoppable power to a distant memory? Today, we're diving into the rise, the chaos, and the ultimate fall of Rome. The Roman Empire, at its height, it looked unstoppable. One of the greatest powers the world had ever seen, stretching from the deserts of Egypt to the forests of Britain and from the coasts of Spain to the heart of modern Iraq. It seemed eternal. And yet today it's gone. So what happened? Did a stronger enemy crush it? Did internal strife tear it apart? Or did it simply grow too large to hold together? The answer isn't simple. Rome didn't fall in a single moment. Its collapse was centuries in the making. To understand why, we must go back to the start, when Rome was a republic, not an empire. The republic had replaced a flawed monarchy, but people craved stronger, unified leadership. One man answered that call, Julius Caesar. He began consolidating power, proving himself a popular and capable leader through numerous successful military campaigns. Many of his rivals soon realized that he had no intention of giving up his newfound authority. Fearing the loss of the republic, Rome's elites assassinated him, triggering one of the largest political crises in the city's history. Civil wars erupted as various factions fought for control. And in the end, Caesar's adopted heir, Octavian, emerged victorious. Following in Caesar's footsteps, Octavian expanded Rome's influence, conquering nearby territories including Egypt and ending its Hellenistic era. He quickly surpassed his father in power, and the Roman Senate acknowledged it by granting him the title of Augustus. Now Rome had its first emperor, ruling in perpetuity, a position no one would dare challenge. The very men who had assassinated Caesar had unintentionally paved the way for the empire's first ruler, and he would not be the last. For a time, Rome seemed invincible. The empire thrived as trade flourished, cities grew, and monuments rose across Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Provinces were well organized, governors maintained order, and the famed Pax Romana, the Roman peace, brought centuries of relative stability. Citizens could walk the streets safely, soldiers returned from campaigns victorious, and Rome appeared untouchable. Yet beneath this calm surface, trouble was quietly brewing. Political rivalries simmered in the Senate, local governors sometimes abused their power, and social tensions were rising among the common people. Religion and culture began to shift as new ideas challenged old traditions. Christianity emerged, spreading quietly but steadily, questioning the authority of Rome's gods and the established order. The empire may have looked peaceful, but the foundations were already cracking, waiting for the right spark to ignite chaos. And that spark would come in the form of a young, impulsive emperor, one whose reign would shake Rome to its core. A young emperor named Commodus ascended to the throne at just 15, inheriting an empire built by centuries of careful leadership. But his youth proved disastrous. Guided more by whims than wisdom, Commodus made reckless decisions that destabilized Rome. He became obsessed with gladiatorial games, often appearing in the arena himself, blurring the line between emperor and entertainer. His reign was marked by unpredictability. Political decisions shifted on a whim, advisors were executed or dismissed at his command, and fear spread through the Senate and the streets. Rome, once a symbol of order and power, descended into uncertainty and chaos. Commodus' rule not only undermined the authority of the emperor, but also set the stage for a period of violent struggle that would engulf the empire in the years to come. After Commodus' chaotic reign, Rome was thrown into deeper turmoil. Assassinations, betrayals, and civil wars became the new norm, as ambitious generals and senators vied for control of the empire. The streets of Rome were no longer safe, and the once proud city trembled under the weight of uncertainty. As the central authority weakened, distant provinces began to break away. Gaul declared itself independent, carving out its own Gallic empire. In the east, Queen Zenobia of Palmyra seized the moment to expand her rule, taking over Egypt and key territories along the Mediterranean coast. Rome's vast empire, once tightly controlled, was now fragmenting. The cracks that had been forming under the surface were becoming wide chasms, and the empire's future was more uncertain than ever. Amid constant assassinations and collapsing authority, a few emperors managed to pull Rome back from the brink. Aurelian was one of them. In a short but decisive reign, he crushed breakaway states, reunited the fractured empire, and built massive defensive walls around Rome itself, a clear sign that even the capital no longer felt safe. After him came Diocletian, who realized the empire had grown too large to rule the old way. He reorganized the administration, split power among multiple rulers, reformed the economy, and brought a rare sense of stability. In an unprecedented move, he even chose to retire voluntarily, something no Roman emperor had done before. After him came Constantine the Great, would leave the deepest mark. He reshaped the army, centralized power, and embraced Christianity, transforming it from a persecuted faith into a force that would redefine Roman identity. Under Constantine, the empire survived, but it was no longer the same Rome it had once been. Even as capable emperors restored order inside the empire, pressure along Rome's borders continued to grow. Beyond the frontiers, new and powerful forces were on the move. The Huns surged westward, destabilizing entire regions and pushing Germanic tribes toward Roman territory. Seeking refuge, Gothic groups crossed into the empire, not as invaders at first, but as migrants. Rome had absorbed outsiders before, but this time, corruption and mismanagement turned the situation into a disaster. Roman officials exploited the refugees, withheld supplies, and ignited resentment. What began as a controlled migration spiraled into open rebellion. Rome's borders, once carefully managed and fiercely defended, became points of weakness. The empire could still fight, but it was now constantly reacting, never fully in control. While external threats strained Rome's borders, the empire was also weakening from within. Years of political instability had normalized corruption at every level of government. Officials abused their power, loyalty was bought rather than earned, and public trust steadily eroded. To fund constant wars and an oversized military, taxes increased sharply. This burden fell heaviest on farmers and local communities, driving unrest and rebellion across the provinces. As cities remained protected behind walls, rural regions were left exposed, and loyalty to Rome began to fade. Over time, the empire's institutions lost their effectiveness. The army was still vast, but discipline declined. Administration continued to function, but slowly and inefficiently. Rome had not collapsed, but it was no longer strong enough to fully control the forces pressing in from every direction. Rome didn't fall overnight, nor because of a single enemy. Its collapse was the result of centuries of cumulative strained political chaos that left emperors vulnerable, external invasions that tested the limits of the military, and internal decay that sapped the empire's resilience. Provinces that once swore loyalty began to drift away, borders that had been carefully defended became porous, and traditions that had held the empire together slowly eroded. Cultural shifts, such as the rise of Christianity, altered the very identity of Rome. The economy strained under constant taxation, and corruption weakened the administrative backbone that once kept the empire functioning. Even when capable emperors tried to restore order, they were fighting against momentum that had been building for generations. By the end, Rome was no longer the unshakable power it once was. Its vast territories were contested, its cities vulnerable, and its influence waning. The fall of the Western Roman Empire marked the end of an era, but it also laid the foundations for a new world, shaping the political, religious, and cultural landscape of Europe for centuries to come. And that's the story of the fall of the Roman Empire. Thank you for watching. If there's a specific period or event in history you'd like us to cover next, let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. There's plenty more history waiting for you.